After the scandals which we heard about in the Lords last week, David Cameron said he was going to set up measures to ensure that there was proper regulation of lobbyists and in particular transparency. If there is any conference which required transparency, which required democratic accountability, it is the Bilderberg Conference, because this is really where the top brass of Western finance capitalism meet in order to make their deals, listen to each other, lobby, including government ministers, particularly George Osborne and Kenneth Clarke. And as far as I know, there will be no statement in the House following it saying what happened and how it might affect government policy. This is totally in contradiction to the government's commitment to have greater transparency. George Osborne said in 2010 that he was committed to the most transparent agenda this country had ever seen. And Kenneth Clarke said that transparency was the best protection against corruption that any country could have. So why can't we have transparency over the Bilderberg Conference?
Well, some might argue that there's nothing wrong with having a forum for open debate that's off the record. These people can't make laws after all, and they might argue it's useful to allow unfettered debate. People can be candid without fear of reprisal. And don't meetings go on all the time behind closed doors with business leaders and politicians and other politicians?
Well, I mean, of course these people have a right to meet. Everyone has a right to meet. They actually regularly meet every year at Davos in Switzerland. The difference there is that the public and the press have access, and therefore it is properly and fully recorded. In this case, there is very closely guarded secrecy. They have their own charity called, notoriously, the Bilderberg Association, which uses charity fund in order to get the local police to ensure that absolutely nobody else has access. This is the complete opposite of transparency and openness and democratic government, which they say they believe in. And this is the most important gathering of the most powerful people in Western capitalism that there is. So instead of trying to manipulate the new laws on lobbying against a trade union, government have done, although they are the most democratic and open organisation you can find in Britain, why don't you apply it to the people who really have power, really have wealth, and really influence the decisions in this and other European countries?
It is possible, I suppose, that there are certain conversations that will go on today that could be of use to people, that people might welcome. For example, Google's Eric Schmidt and Amazon's Jeff Bezos are invited. As you mentioned, George Osborne, Ed Balls also there as well, who have, of course, been very critical of those companies' tax arrangements. I mean, is it possible that this could be a forum to put more pressure on companies like that?
Yes, I mean, I totally understand that point, but it doesn't in any way eradicate the real need for transparency and openness. That's what I keep coming back to. An urgent question to the Prime Minister on Monday when the House meets again, to ask that there be a report, ministers, either by the Prime Minister himself or by those who attended the conference, saying exactly how this has affected government policy. It clearly is going to have an impact on government policy. Otherwise, why is the Chancellor of the Exchequer, for the 5th time, George Osborne, attending, and Kenneth Clarke, who is actually on the steering committee of this Bilderberg conference? I mean, these are very, very important issues. Arguably, as I keep saying, the most important gathering of the year. And I am standing about half a mile away. I can't get any closer to the actual conference. We're all kept out, and that cannot be right.